some of the events that the Prophet said would occur after his lifetime. The Prophet intimated that after him Abu Bakr would take charge over the Muslim nation. Once, after the Prophet spoke to a female questioner, he told her to come back at a later time. She said, "And if I do not find you," as if she was alluding to his death. He said, "If you do not find me, then go to Abu Bakr." And in fact, Abu Bakr did assume the duty of leadership after the Prophet. The Prophet wanted to write a declaration making it clear that Abu Bakr was to be the next Khalifa. However, he refrained from writing it because he knew that his companions, being pleased with Abu Bakr's superiority and merit, would choose no one else. The Prophet said, "Allah and the believers refused to have anyone other than Abu Bakr." In another narration, the Prophet said, "And with those who and with those two who come after me, Abu Bakr and Umar, who ruled it to the authentic." These words were proven to be true, for Abu Bakr became Khalifa after the Prophet, and he was then followed by Umar. The Prophet intimated to us that the Muslims would conquer Egypt, related from his father that the Messenger of Allah said, "When you conquer Egypt, then treat its inhabitants in a good manner." And in another narration, "Treat its inhabitants in a good manner, for they have the right of security and they are kinsfolk." Hajar, the mother of Ismail, was from them, led the Muslim army that conquered Egypt in the year 20H. During the caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab, and Abu Dar related that the Prophet said, "Indeed, you will conquer a land in which Al-Qirat is mentioned." Al-Qirat is a portion of a dinar, dirham, and other currencies. The people of Egypt who used Al-Qirat in their transaction would speak about it often. "Treat its inhabitants well, for they have the right of security, and they are kinsfolk." The Prophet foretold the end of the Persian and Roman empires. The Messenger of Allah said, "When Caesar is destroyed, there will be no Caesar after him. And when Kisra, a title designated to the Emperor of Persia, is destroyed, there will be no Kisra after him. And by the one who has my soul in his hand, you will spend their treasure in the way of Allah." This prophecy was fulfilled for during the caliphates of Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman. Caesar, the name of this particular Caesar was Harak, lost control of countries in Sham, Syria, and surrounding regions, and the Arabian Peninsula. His dominion was then limited to the countries of Rome. In Arabic, the application of the word Caesar, Caesar was for he who ruled over Rome, Sham, and the Arabian Peninsula. Therefore, this hadith contained glad tidings for the inhabitants of Sham. It promised them that until the day of judgment, they would never again be under the rule of Rome. As for Kisra, he lost his entire control of most of his dominion during the caliphate of Umar, and then he lost everything during the Caliphate of Uthman. According to one narration, this occurred in the year 32 H. All praise is for Allah and all blessings are from Him. When the Prophet sent a letter to Kisra inviting him to Islam, the latter tore it up. The Prophet supplicated against him, invoking Allah to completely tear apart his empire, and that is in fact what happened. The Messenger of Allah prophesied Umar's murder, reported that Hudayfa said, as we were seated in the company of Umar, he said, "Who among you has memorized the hadith of the Messenger of Allah regarding the fitna tribulation?" I said, "I." He said, "Tell it, you are indeed bold." I said, "He mentioned the fitna of a man in his family, his wealth, his self, his child, and his neighbor, which are all expiated for by prayer, charity, the ordering of good, and the forbidding of evil." He said, "That is not what I meant. I am referring to the fitna